Hey Yoka, quit mucking around already. Come sit down.
I'm on my way.
Welcome to the Mog Toys 1 year anniversary update.
Hey boys and girls, thanks so much for joining us on this video. Just a heads up, this video contains stuff that we've done in the last year, so if you are one of the audio subscribers that we love so much and you watch this all, you could skip ahead to 9 minutes 34, but you probably won't because you want to see all of our cool material. Regardless of whether you skip this video or not, I hope you enjoy it and thanks for watching.
Welcome. A bit of a different video this time. As you can see, we're sat on the Unimog and there's a reason for that. It's now pretty much a year since we decided to buy this vehicle and put down a deposit and decided to go ahead with the Unimog Camper project. So thought it was time to bring you up to speed with what we've done so far and where we go from here, what's next in the pipeline, because the big stuff's about to start soon with the build of the actual camper body.
Yep, exactly. So we'll run through what we've done and what's going to happen. We started making these videos shortly after we decided to build the Unimog, and that was just over a year ago as when we are filming now. I don't know when this clip is going to come out, but when we're filming, it's a few days over a year.
Yeah.
The first video was simply the announcement of that we wanted to build an overland camper and went into why we chose the Unimog, and that was basically the start of everything. Whilst we were waiting for the Unimog to be delivered, we did episode 2, and in that one we just talked a lot. We talked about how we've come to the conclusion that we had reached. We talked about what we've read, what we've researched, and all of those little things. And hopefully it wasn't too much talking.
Episode 3 was a really exciting one for us, and we were like two small kids at Christmas because that's when the Unimog was actually delivered to us. For various reasons, we'd been waiting a long time to get hold of the Mog, and we were really excited to get it delivered.
At this stage the Unimog had been MOT'd, but it still didn't have any papers, so the company didn't need it anymore for the paperwork to pass through, so it was delivered to us. We couldn't drive it, didn't have any plates, anything like that. We just got it into our possession, so it was very exciting at the same time as it was very restrictive.
Once we had delivery of the Mog, especially as we couldn't drive it, we started working on the cab. And the first thing we decided to do was to start making it a more pleasant and more habitable place to be. So we started off by preparing the floor to install some sound deadening.
What we also should mention is that there were several projects taking on at the same time. We didn't just remove the seats and put them aside. We did a lot of other things. We tore the headliner out and all that. But episode wise, the next episode after the delivery was us preparing the cab floor for soundproofing.
In episode 5, we installed silent coat sound deadening on the cab floor and in the cab, and we're laughing because it seems like such a small thing to say, but it took so long to install and to do a good job. But it's made a massive difference to the sound volumes in there, and it looked really good.
Following on, episode 6, we installed the Atkinson Voss rubber mats into the cab. again, it seems like such a simple thing to do, but again, we spent a lot of time fitting them and installing the trims on the door sills with all of that stuff. Yeah, seems so simple now.
Yeah.
Episode 7 and 8 was the installation of the seats. This was basically me fabric cobbling the two seat bases together, also cleaning the seats and figuring out how we were going to put them in there. The seat bases and the seats are really nice. We can do very long journeys in them, and I think the total cost for that was less than £300, and that includes the seat, some paint and the material.
Yeah. Episode 9. That's where we installed some electrics into the cab. We did the 24 volt system and the 12 volt system, and Jokka fabric cobbled a really nice little fuse panel underneath the dash, and we set the whole system up to be able to have a 12 volt supply and a 24 volt supply in there.
Yeah, and since installing that, we've basically done nothing to it. I plugged in some more stuff into it, and that's about it.
In episodes 10 and 11, we made a new roof liner and a new hatch liner out of plywood, and we installed some more sound deadening up there as well.
And interior lights.
Oh yeah.
And a reversing camera screen. And in episode 12, I continued on from the electrical installation and put some gadgets on the dashboard and talked you through all of that. This is where we had our nice phone chargers that we 3D printed installed.
In episode 13, we spray painted the door shuts, and we made some new door cards using the same or similar method that we made the roof and hatch liner out of. So out of thin plywood and covering them in vinyl.
And if you are eagle-eyed and you watch these episodes, you can see that throughout some of the one episode you can see the work in the background happening. For example, you can see Andy and Cass working hard on the painting of the doors whilst I'm trying to figure out the seat bases. Then episode 14 was a little bit of a fixing the Unimog rather than anything to do with the camper. When we started actually driving the truck around, we noticed that the fan made a horrible noise. I had hoped to postpone that operation quite a lot further than we actually managed to do. What happened was that I took it apart and I put some grease on it. Sadly, that grease didn't last many hours, which ended up us having to fork out the money for a brand new fan and housing, which obviously cost in the realms of Mercedes money. I'm sure we will be referring to Mercedes money a lot in the future. That was a bit of a sidetrack, but the fan and the cab is nice now, and it's very quiet and blows a lot of air, which is very nice. And in episode 15 I installed the portal axle breather kit, a topic that I never thought would be so controversial. Anything from don't do it to those are to buy these and all that. What a mess. Anyway, they're fitted, they don't leak. Let's hope they save our portal axles, and let's never talk about this again. And as of recording, the last episode that we filmed and published was me fixing the roof. A project that basically drained my energy completely for several days. It is holding up well, so not too bad in hindsight, but it's not nice. I'm glad it's on the roof and not on the door. Episode 17 is planned to be about fixing an oil leak. I'm not going to say too much about it now, but that is the planned one. Which means that this episode that we're filming right now will probably be episode number 18.
And that concludes what we've done so far. Let's have a look at what we're going to do next.
If you have been paying a lot of attention, you might notice that we are not sitting in a camper.
Really?
So the next step would logically be to build a camper. now when the truck is done? Well, yes, that's what we would like to do, and that's what we consider the exciting part. However, this truck is a little bit like a 15 game, so when you move one piece out of the way, another piece is in that way, and you have to move a lot of pieces around before we can actually start the actual camper build.
When we first bought this truck, everybody said to us, wow, it's huge, it's really big. Well, for a big truck, it's actually quite small. We've spent so much time trying to figure out exactly where things are going to lie.
The total length of this vehicle is 5.5 meters. There are many trucks out there that have 5.5 meters on the bed alone, which, believe me, 10 centimeters is a very huge amount of space when you're trying to fit a seat in, or a bed in, or a shower in. So having an extra 50 centimeters or even a meter would be absolutely lovely. But the compromise we're making here is we're trying to make a vehicle that can go places without being hindered by its bulk and size, height, width, weight, and so forth. So keeping all of those factors down to a minimum is going to make this vehicle able to go places where a lot of other bigger vehicles can't. Because this interior layout is being designed with us living there full time, it puts a different slant on the requirements. For example, if this were a weekend warrior vehicle, then we could easily just drive back home if the weather's bad. However, if this is our home, we're already driving our home, which means that we can't escape somewhere else unless we are paying for, say, a hotel room or something like that. So the requirements for full-time living are quite different from temporary living, where we can decide to cut the trip short and go weather the storm out somewhere else.
One of our requirements for this was to make sure that we could do two things at the same time. So we could have a sleeping area and we could have a sitting stroke working area.
In many compact campers, you can see the bed lower down over the seating area, for example, or that the seating area is being converted into a bed. This is not acceptable for us because that would mean that we had to choose between sitting or sleeping. If one of us is not feeling well or has worked a lot and needs to sleep, then the other one can't be up working or doing other things. And there are several other areas where this sort of philosophy also applies. There are also spaces that take up a lot of space but are still needed but not very often. A shower and a toilet, for example, is those type of spaces. You don't use the toilet very often, but when you need it, you really need it. Trying to maximize the space that we have in a usable fashion for full-time living has proven to be quite a Tetris game. I think we have a solution. We still don't know if we can actually fit it in comfortably. So we still have a little bit of interior design to do. If things work out, we will have a permanent bed, permanent kitchen, and a permanent seating area. The toilet and shower will be in the entrance, and hopefully we can make sure that all of these areas are usable as they are and not too small or take up too much space.
Hopefully this arrangement will let us use the camper in the way which we want to use it and not be constrained by the environment in which we're staying in.
So let's have a look at the 15 game that is the Unimog Camper. Let's first talk about the layout on the truck bed how things are hopefully going to end up from a top-down perspective. This is about 90 centimeters from the front. This is where we're going to have the hallway, the entry. This is where the door is going to be, and this is going to be the whole hallway, and then from about there to about there we're going to have an aisle. From about this point to this point, 150 centimeters, we're going to have the seating. It's going to be a face-to-face seating with a table in between. So one person is facing that way and another person is facing that way. There's going to be a window here so that we can look out that way. This basically means that this side of the truck is the front yard side and that is the backyard side. This is where we're going to have barbecues, this is where we're going to be social, this is where we're going to inflate the tires of our bikes or whatever thing. This is the stuff, this is the side where things happen. That side is sort of the utilities side. From this length to this length, we're going to have a bed. The bed is 120 centimeters. All the measurements that I'm saying now is not including the insulation. We still need to figure all of those mathematical details out. But to recap, 90 centimeter door, 150 centimeter seating, 120 centimeter bed. How much space we need for the seating is also up for debate. Knee to knee and all of that stuff needs to be figured out. Can we actually do it? So this is the driver's side, the way the truck is built. So this would be the street side, that would be the curb side. But this is how campers with the driver on the left hand side are usually designed. So we have the bed and then we have the kitchen, which is opposite the seating area. It's 150 centimeters and it's divided up to a cooker, a workspace and a sink. So the workspace in the middle can be used for cleaning the dishes or for preparing food. Then we have here a utilities closet in this corner. We don't know exact configuration of this one or exactly how big is it going to be and all of that stuff. But this area here is reserved for things like batteries, water heaters, water filters, inverters, chargers, all of those things that is needed to make this into a house. The kitchen cabinets are thought of to be about 60 centimeters deep.
And here starts the 15 game. We want to recess the first step, or maybe two, so the exterior steps don't come out as far. But before we can do that, we need to move the fuel tank and we also need to relocate the batteries. If you imagine a step here, you can see that both the fuel tank and the batteries are in the way. So therefore, we're going to relocate the fuel tank onto the other side of the truck, and we're going to relocate the batteries into the engine bay of the cab. We've done a quick and dirty mock-up, and we think that the batteries will fit into the space in here. As you can see, if we were to move the fuel tank onto this side of the truck at the moment, we have a spare wheel in the way and we have the exhaust, which means we need to relocate those first. So we need to relocate the spare wheel, and there's no really good place to locate it. It could go onto the back of the camper body, but we've already got plans for stuff to go on there. It could go into the front bumper, which is probably best from a weight point of view, but it doesn't look very good. Or you can relocate it onto the roof, which is probably where we're going to end up putting it. With the spare wheel relocated onto the roof, it means that we can then relocate the exhaust into this area here, which leaves this area under the camper free. We obviously can't put the spare wheel straight onto the roof, so we need to build a roof rack. And to get the wheel up here, we're going to need to make a crane.
On the back of the Unimog, we're going to have a big rack that we can lower and raise somehow. Onto the rack, we will build something that we can mount whatever we want to carry, such as motorbikes, whatever else we can think of. So the rack will be permanent to the Unimog. It can be adapted to house whatever stuff we want to, simply by just welding some accessories to it or something like that. The area under the bed will be our garage. We don't know yet exactly how we're going to have it configured. We are hoping to be able to raise the bed so that we can access the garage from the inside. But on this side we will probably have the main access, the biggest door to the garage. And hopefully we will be able to utilize a lower floor here, which would hopefully mean that we can have mountain bikes stored inside the truck. As we want to be able to be social on this side, this part of the garage, the bottom part here of the garage, will probably be a separate drawer that will house a barbecue, so that we can simply pull out the barbecue, maybe even have some water connected to it so that we can wash our hands and rinse off vegetables and things like that right here.
Now you see what sort of 15 game we're faced with.
Thank you for sticking with us for the first year, and I hope that the next year is going to turn out even more exciting.
Thanks for watching and hope to see you next time.
Bye!
We don't do cheese very well.
Jazz hands!
Jazz hands! Bye! Can we do that? Just do bye, like that.
Bye!
Bye! Welcome to our 1 year anniversary of our Unimog Camper project update.
What did you say? Welcome to our 1 year anniversary, a fire anniversary. What?
I don't know what.
Fire anniversary?
About Unimog.
You're a fire anniversary! Is that a rap?
I'm not very good at rapping.
I think it's a rap. This is a... no. Yo, 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 this is a rap. Here I am with my homie Kaz, and this is where we end this video.
Don't give up your day job. What?
Yo, yo, yo! Here I'm sitting with my homie Crazy Kaz, and this is all you're gonna see because this is a rap.
Get you!